mountain like Ananda Devi, where we have a high knowledge about climate, water, soil, the high altitudinal structure and so on, aspect, of course, the diversity question and so on. And this would be then a knowledge existing which is on a safe scientific base, and this means the big gap in between. There, of course, it is the moment to introduce also the remote sensing, and I think on a GEOS, this satellite global program and so on, and today much more is possible than some years ago, and I think Menris is well equipped to start here also to help in this sense. But this knowledge, filling these gaps, can be calibrated in these points here to see, is it correct, is it an assumption that may be, and so on, in this sense, to create a skeleton which is safe. So, and in this sense, I just show what the Director General just said. These pictures here are from the last report of IPCC 2007, and it is the Asian map about change of temperature, this one, and precipitation, this. See. Here you have the annual, the mean for a year. This is December, January, February, the northern winter, northern hemisphere winter. Here is June, July, and August. It is the northern hemisphere summer. So you see the temperature. Let's begin first with the season here, December, January, February. The dark red here is plus 4 degrees Celsius if you take the last 20 years from 1980 to 2000 as a base, and then to project modeling the last 20 years in the 21st century. That means 2080 to 2100. 20 years of the last 20 years at the end of our century. And this means also the dark red here is 4 degrees increase of the temperature, and it goes to the even darker red here. This is the coast, it is Siberia, it is the Polar Sea beginning. It goes up to 7 degrees here in winter time, December, January, February, here on. So, you may see now where is the Himalaya. That we see here a spot, but it is the dry desert belt in the continent coming in, and then these lines go over a little bit less here, but at least this mountain system cannot be recognized in such a manner. You see here the July, very interesting. Here you see not a big change in this season here, and then the continent is heating up and comes to 4 degrees in the center here. Is a very really what the processes are. You see now it is the average between these two here, and as a whole you see an increase of temperature even above Tibet, again very warm, +4. And this last report of IPCC, right, there is written very clearly, the highest mountains will have the highest increase of temperature, and probably less white spot, and I just read this sentence. We have a lot of regions, they have written, where observational data in a longer, reliable series is missing, and therefore we couldn't use it for modeling or projections. And I think, in this sense, that every country in the Himalaya, Hindu Kush, is looking for some data in their region, for some water data in their country. Like that, we shall never enter here this global work, the IPCC, and in 5 years we shall have the next report. So, there is a pressure for cooperation. Either we are not mentioned again in 5 years, or we begin the cooperation. Here is the precipitation, the lower ones. Again, December, January, February. Interesting to see in this winter here that you have a very, very stronger precipitation above Tibet, and this is this boreal winter system which is activated, and you have here increase increase of 20–30% of precipitation in this area. But in this winter time, you see, even dry here, or drier, much drier, it is about 20–30% less than today. And then it turns around that June, July and August, you have the monsoon, but it is along perhaps these mountains, not very much higher in this sense here. And you see also here this dry part above Tibet or here the Central Asian part. And now this interesting comment in this report about the monsoon. It is said we shall have a weakening of this monsoon summer precipitation, but we shall have more anomalies, and they are caused by the hot or the surface temperature of the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean has an impact on this precipitation structure. If there the cyclone is starting, then of course we can have much more intense and more frequent heavy precipitation, even if the system as a whole is weaker, perhaps in a warmer climate. It is like a contradiction, but it is highly fascinating, but it shows also certain uncertainties in this prediction. So, and you see also that again, an annual mean says away nothing, because we have the seasonal precipitation with the monsoon. But it is interesting, and I come as a result, no, I must still say, there were 21 models were used to construct this Asian temperature and precipitation changes. And most of them have same or similar results, as you can see here. 142 countries have designated a focal point. We have in the internet the address, so we know exactly who is responsible. But it is only a focal point. 13 countries have a coordinator elected and have certain stations clearly designated. And these 13 countries, is interesting to see, is of course United States, North America, Europe and so on, but also China is in these 13 and has just designated a coordinator and has a clear network. So in this sense, I think we can perhaps receive a new instrument. And if I was looking here, it was interesting what they want to do here. They want to cooperate with GEOS, this global Earth observation system of systems. This is also in ICIMOD well known, and I think ICIMOD is even a candidate to join this program here. And I think back a little bit on these gaps again. And so you see essential climate variables. And then it is the atmosphere, of course, the temperature, precipitation, air pressure, but also the surface radiation and wind and water vapor. But if possible, it should continue. This station should also take into consideration CO2, methane, ozone, on aerosol. And I think this is quite important for this region. When we were flying into Kathmandu, above the Ganges, plain again a brown cloud, and it is also pushing here also to Himalaya. I think it is a very central problem for these next years. Terrestrial data, it is the river discharge, water use, groundwater, lake level, snow cover, glaciers, permafrost, and so on. Land cover, where ICIMOD is just doing a very good step forward. Fraction of absorbed photosynthetically active radiation, and here is something which is for biodiversity interesting, biomass, soil moisture, and fire disturbance. But both agree these data should be for an application. It is for weather, of course, for agriculture, for water, energy, and for biodiversity. Interesting to see, here comes the biodiversity again back, and here should be the elements we must have in future to work with this biodiversity problem. But let's go down a little bit on a lower level, from this global aspect now down Of course, we could mention the FAO program about watershed management, a new generation of watershed management. And here I quote very shortly only, what can this world overview of conservation approaches and technologies? Intact, this program for a certain region, this Himalayan conservation approach and technologies, is a network of soil and water conservation